Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told out of Voice Radio, and today I'm here with a winner. Hey, Joe.
How's it going, Ross?
It's going pretty well. You got to won the Dragon Gym Challenge. Made the final first time round, fell to David, we'll get more on that in a moment. Came into the second tournament, took the whole thing, which gives you an overall 5-1 record, which is kind of a bit ridiculous over both the tournaments. How does it feel, Joe?
Feels good. First of all, I just want to say, thank you so much for putting on this sort of tournament because it's given me a great distraction from Standard, and the format is really, really fun. So I've just really enjoyed delving into something different. As you know, I love Cube and basically anything else I can get my hands on Pokemon. So I'm always taking these things quite seriously, so probably more seriously than most other people. So it was cool that we've had some decent results so far, and the reason why I think it's really good to have won this time is that in the finals last time, I basically lost to an auto loss that I could have teched for that I chose not to. So then this time around, I was like, okay, I'm not going to take any just hard L to any deck if I can help it. So it's kind of, this win has sort of come from the first one as well and sort of moved on from it.
Well, last time, I'll link the video in the description so anyone who wants to watch it can go and check that out. But last time round, you were playing an entirely basic fighting deck, mostly around the Hitmons, Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, Hitmontop. And you came up against David's Obstagoon deck in the final, which is not nice to basic Pokemon. No. And there was a card you could have included, and we had conversations as the tournament was going on, and you were like, I don't want to play David, I got greedy, I cut it, and it would have just given you such a good out.
I feel like I was super favored if I had played Ultra Forest Cart Envoy, and it's I had it in the list at different points, and I eventually cut it and just said he's on the other side of the bracket, it'll be fine, and then he just made it through, which kind of sucked.
And we're mean, we give everyone a competitor pack, and then the winner, and we'll get to this in a minute, the winner gets a big box of goodies from Dragon Shield, and no one else and that's it. You get your competitor pack, and then you get an awesome pack if you win, and there's nothing in between. So getting to the final is you did the maximum amount of work for no extra reward. You could have been donked game one and gotten just as many goodies.
Yeah. But it's still good fun.
So you're prep, you and David. I think you and David deserve to have won the first two tournaments because you are the two that have really gone for it. You did a full metagame analysis, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah, for both formats, actually, yeah.
Run us through, just quickly, how'd you go about doing that?
Jump onto PTCGRadio and just see what cards are in the format to start with. Look at, what sort of hit points things are at, what sort of damage numbers you need to be hitting, what sort of engine most people will play, because, supporters and ball search cards, they're going to be similar across multiple decks. And then essentially I sort of theory crafted a list for every type of the one or two strongest archetypes. So I sort of knew what I should be coming up against, and then kind of built a deck around that to have a decent matchup spread each time. For the first one, fighting had basically no options, so I was forced into Hitmons no matter what. But this time around, I actually had a few different options and ended up with this sort of Berserker Duraludon deck, which was really good.
So speaking of the deck, then why don't you kind of flip the camera down, run us through, talk us through what you made, Joe, and how it worked.
So Metal actually got way better in this second set. So in the first Dragon Gym Challenge, I think it was a Metagross deck that I think it was Sierra that played it.
It was indeed.
She didn't do too great. And there was still obviously that as an option, but we got Duraludon from Rebel Clash. And I think, just this Duraludon from Rebel Clash is super, super good. And the Meowth that has the ability that can let you go ahead and grab Berserker straight away was the entire build around. So the deck got significantly better as soon as Duraludon was printed because it's a big basic, it has acceleration, it's got early game pressure as well, and it's got 130 hit points, which then became the basis of the entire deck that I was trying to tank, because Metal Core Barrier in a format where 100 or so damage is kind of the limit is pretty nutty, because jumping yourself to 200 is crazy. It's actually the same strategy I had for my fighting deck where I had Stack Attacker that could get to 200 hit points. This effectively is the same thing. So once you know what deck's damage output is mostly going to be, you can figure out how to stay out of range of all of those hits. So that's really the main strategy, where Duraludon's hopefully coming out the gate swinging. He can accelerate to himself to be a lot of like early game pressure, or he can accelerate to your other stuff, which is really cool. I added in Bishop sort of late on in the building process. My initial build was, again, like just Berserker, just Cincino, and then like another Cobalion and Zamazenta. And I was playing not only the two metal sources, I was also playing 2 copies of Bead just to keep accelerating. But I ended up thinking that like against maybe some Frostmoth decks or something like that, I would run out of attackers. There'd be a turn where I'm just not doing enough. I won't have enough energy unless I played Lieutenant Surge and 2 beads like in a turn. And I said, that's pretty stupid. Instead, we'll play this stage 1, which is just, a 120 prod for 1 energy is really efficient in this format. And even though I didn't use Bishop like much throughout the tournament, just having a Pawniard on the board meant that I could make so many different plays. I could be a lot greedier with my attachments, knowing that if they can somehow find a way, like past the Goggles or past the Metal Core Barrier with Tool Scrappers or anything like that, I would always have this backup here. So the Bishop worked like really nicely. And just another side note, the Bishop meant that I could actually be obstacling a lot better this time around. So that was a bonus as well. So otherwise, it was going to be Berserker, Metal Core Barrier, and just try and like Malolana and heal it all the time. But having the Bishop made me think like I can actually beat Dark this time, which was a really good feeling. So yeah, I think Metal just in this format got way, way better. There's some really cool sort of like mini synergies going on. Obviously, Jirachi is good with like any deck that could play it, but because we are tanking, Malolana gets extra value, which is really cool. Mount Coronet, awesome with Cincino. You can trade for free if they don't counter your stadium, basically. So there's some really nice like internal synergies going on, and Cincino and Meowth both have discard synergy for Duraludon. So there's actually like a lot of internal synergy going on in the 60, which is really cool.
That works really nicely. Were there any like... I mean, also, I've got to point out the Lana's fishing rod, so that you could actually cheese yourself into 4 Metal Core Barrier rather than the 2. It's just, I mean, we saw in the round 1 game, you did just go kind of a little bit, and it really did look like in round 1 that you were going, I'll play any attacker as long as I can have Metal Core Barrier every turn.
I mean, Metal Core Barrier was the entire build around. I really feel like if it sticks, it's crazy. It forces Boss or it forces Tool Scrapper. And in this format, they can only play 2 copies, and I don't think anyone would actually play 2 copies of Tool Scrapper. So I felt like I could get away with it. And yeah, when you're playing Mount Coronet as well, there's no reason to play the Ordinary Rod, so you can just play the greedier list and double Metal Core. And in finals, I was able to recover Goggles, which is insane against Flapple. You just shut down a lot of Eric's damage, so it kind of felt like I countered him quite specifically because the Goggles was super good against him.
Between Goggles, Resistance, and the tools, like the final game, which went up a couple of days ago. Again, link in the. I don't know why anyone's watching this if they haven't watched the final, but just in case you haven't, go watch that now before I spoil it all. Poor Eric.
I mean, it's the same situation I had in the last final. It just felt like you're so behind just straight out the gate. Resistance and Goggles was just so sad. Like, he was doing 60 into a 130 hit point Pokemon. I played double Malolana, double Scoop Up Net, Sinlins to get back Malolanas. Like, it was probably, like, no offense to Eric, it was like probably the easiest game I had of the 3 series.
Well, yeah, because he had nothing.
Yeah, just the inherent strength.
Well, his attackers were built to do 120 for a single energy. That was his entire deck. But he was doing 60, so it's literally free hit KO, which is the entire reason he plays Flapple. But Metal Goggles stops him placing damage with Flapple. So he's like legit free hit KOing at best. And I must you haven't
I actually did think about Metal Goggles. I had Metal Goggles in here for Flapple, but also for Malamar mostly. So it's like something I actually thought about. So there's a reason, like, it's no surprise that they were so good because I chose to play them, obviously.
Well, that's
those
matchups. I have one question about your list, because we banned Metal Frying Pan, the theory being that we're forcing you all into playing mono-type decks, so letting one type have super easy removal of weakness when none others do just seemed kind of harsh. Would you have still played Metal Goggles if we hadn't banned Metal Frying Pan? Because it saved you, and in the final, that was a huge card.
Yeah, I was pretty certain that Goggles was stronger anyway for this exact 60, because against the fire decks, I'm hoping that Bishop can trade if they're playing Magmortar, which I thought was going to be the best fire deck. You can trade like 1 energy and just like you don't need any tools against fire. You're just outright racing. But luckily, most of the fire stuff has low enough hit points that you could just trade 1 for 1 against them, especially with Bisharp. So I was expecting them to either play like Baby Volk and just a bunch of like basics like Blown and Beast Ring and stuff, or they'd probably play Magmortar. And because Magmortar hits 180, there's no reason to play the Frying Pan anyway. They just body you. And same for Cinderace. Cinderace does 190 anyway, so it's like, yeah, there's no reason to play the Frying Pan because Fire's output is so high anyway. So the Goggles was like definitely a better choice for me or for this list.
I mean, so you didn't end up playing against Giratina in a Malamar deck, and, you know, obviously Blacephalon in a Psychic deck is also kind of, you know, if they're trying to drop 12 damage counters and you turn it off, that's kind of hilarious. But like you say, Flapple in the final, that's a lot
of good value.
If he could have been kind of 2-hit KO'ing with Flapple, you could see a way in which he can maybe pull out a victory. But putting the Goggles down the way you did, and like, did it not terrify you with Pawniard, the fact that, you know, if you get 1 damage counter on it, Bisharp becomes basically trash?
I mean, that's another reason for the Goggles synergy, right? You're just trying to protect him as much as possible. Eric did ping it once, then I scoop up netted and goggled, then he tool scrappered and hit it again. So we were going for a back and forth about that, but luckily the Duraludon was just like so big that he was just never getting through the one attacker basically. So I just sort of left the Pawniard out there to just sit, really.
Yeah, that whole interaction with the whole Flapple fit, that amused me way more than it should have when I was commentating.
Yeah, it was funny because he was like, he realized like mid-game, he was like, oh... oh, that's nasty.
Which is like, you're a perennial Worlds player. I think Eric has a top 8 at Worlds or a top 4?
I think it may have even been top 4. Yeah,
he's had like a really, really high Worlds finish. You're kind of a perennial Worlds player. You got these like 2 legitimate, like genuinely like top tier players, and they're fighting over whether Flapple can put damage on a Bisharp to turn off its attack.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. This format makes you think of really weird stuff, but yeah.
That's why you just see stuff you don't, you know, the things like Bisharp are just completely forgotten normally, and it's, I love being able to see them kind of coming out and having a play. So, you did win. Anything else you want to tell us about the deck? Any parting thoughts about the deck?
Just really that even though we played in the first Dragon Shield tournament, it was so different this time around because we got to play Boss, which is super different from coin flip catchers. Everyone had catch energy, which is really crazy for internal like consistency. I know we were all kind of petrified of donks, and we had a separate rule to like stop donks, but I don't think anyone even needed that to come into play, did they?
Never happened. Because
we had so much good ball search. So even with the limit of 2 copies, you can find your way around it, which is pretty cool. Scoop Up Net's crazy in every format. I haven't seen everyone's list. I need to go back and watch some of the gameplay, but from my predicted like meta, a lot of people played like really, really different decks. And there's a specific card, there's a Snorlax from Rebel Clash that I thought was like just going to be Bediff. Like I thought Snorlax was going to be epic in every deck. And I thought Guzhala was going to be meta as well. Because Guzhala for twin energy on Snorlax is crazy. Like Snorlax had 150 hit points. It could collect for 2 cards for 1 attachment. And then if you hit Guzhala for twin, you can hit 120, and a 150 hit point Snorlax that could also be hit with like buff padding was like, or Big Charm. just I was like certain that was going to be meta, so I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't see any Snorlax. But otherwise, I was really happy. And obviously, I couldn't play Snorlax because I had Saucer, Coronet, all that sort of synergy going on, and obviously Berserker, so I had better stuff. But I was really surprised that I didn't see any Snorlax at all because I thought he was going to be broken.
We saw more like mono decks. Like Eric went full bore grass.
Yeah,
and there was
I think his deck would have been stronger if it was Snorlax because it's so much work to get Vespiquen and 5 bench, even with like his Grovars and Turfield and stuff like that. If he had played Guzhala with Snorlax, and then he could have played Oranguru and top entry Lombre and Ludicolo, I think his deck actually would have had a chance of beating mine because Ludicolo has 160 hit points and it does 60 times each prize card they've taken, so it gets to be like a late game machine. So I think he would have had a stronger deck if he had Snorlax. Also, he could have been trading quicker against me. because obviously Snorlax doesn't have the problem of resistance either. So it's kind of stuff like that where I was like, yeah, Snorlax should be the way to go. And if he had played that, I think the match would have been way harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, fair point. I love Snorlax.
Snorlax OP.
No, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, right, Joe. When I asked for any last thoughts, that was not what I was not expecting. Like, right, let me tell you about Snorlax.
Yeah.
But now
I built a ton of other decks. Like, I had another build that was this, but with Snorlax instead of Bishop. And then I also had a control deck as well for Metal, which was fun. I was still playing the core barrier Lana's Fishing Rod, but I was using Twin Energy and Durant and Trick Shovel as well, or Cursed Shovel. Yeah, that was quite fun. I think Control was pretty good for this format, but again, no one really played it.
Alessandro back in the first one was the only, like in both the tournaments, Alessandro in the first Dragon Gym Chat is the only one who's tried playing Control.
I had a decent shot of playing Control in this one just because of Durant, and obviously Galamine and Boss coming out in the set meant that you could trap stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
But I figured like Frostmoth and Mali being acceleration decks is a problem, and I thought the Tag Call package, especially Gus Hallett, was so strong that I was expecting like everyone to play Sinlin, Malolana, Scoop Up Net. So I kind of backed out of that. But Control in one of these tournaments will end up being like really, really good. It's just like what sort of support comes out in future sets, really.
No, absolutely, absolutely right. So my understanding is that you have a large package.
Yeah, but let's get back to the video and open a box that I received just today. Let me move this out of the way, and I'll get it on the table here, and we can start having a look at what Dragon Shield have sent. I've legitimately not opened this up. So I've taken off. Wow, that's a large box. Here's my face.
Like David before him, although David's got stuck because David got his like right as the whole COVID thing was kicking off, and David's was like stuck at a post office that wouldn't open.
Yeah.
But everyone's been under strict instructions, like, don't open your prize pack. We need to open it on the video.
Okay.
See, last time I had, like, a really lovely box of Dragon Shield stuff turn up, like, a month after the tournament ended. So I'm just like, come on.
Okay, here we go. I might have to stand up for this because the box is so large.
Whatever's easiest for you, sir.
All right. It says pedal to the metal.
Because you want the metal deck.
Acknowledging the metal deck. And let's have a look. I'll put things to the side so you can sort of show them off. All right, so we've got my trusty metal sleeves.
Nice.
These are the sleeves that I used throughout the tournament, which is pretty cool. I think we've got a handful of those. Oh no, okay, so there's a bunch of different ones. A bunch of different sleeves. And I'm actually so happy about this because I use Dragon Shield sleeves in tournaments.
You are one of the people that kept telling me I had to play them.
It's got all the different types, so I guess it's just a little like selection of all the ones that we use. There's the grass ones, I think.
Yeah, sounds fair.
We've got. I can
nice.
Get a selection going on. What are these? These are. Oh, so they're just standard card art sleeves. All the art sleeves, even though we can't always use them in our own specific tournaments, they're still great for old format and anything else, so I'll still definitely find a use for all of these.
I mean, I can literally never have enough sleeves.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I've been playing card game for a decade, never happened.
A nice little Nest deck box, the magnetic ones, I think.
They're cool.
Magnetic seal. So.
Yeah, and like little leathery, and they fold open and...
A slightly bigger one that gives you space for dice, little tray. It's cool. And then we've got some big stuff. Okay, I've got... Oh, wow, this is awesome.
Oh, I have one of those. They're amazing.
A magic carpet. So you can... It's magnetic again, and you can open it out and just put your row of deck boxes. And these are really sturdy as well. I have like 2 of these already, so that's great.
Kind of opens into a playmat.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it opens out flat there. I don't know if you can see. My camera's terrible.
We can see. I have one of those. I love it. I absolutely love it. I use it for a different game I'm not allowed to name.
We've got a card codex binder, which is massive, and you can't see the whole thing because it's too tall. But I think this is a 9 pocket by the looks of things.
And kind of squishy.
And kind of squishy, yeah.
Yes.
It's not kind of squishy, yeah.
Like, as in, like, the cover is all squishy. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
them.
We've got Dragon Shield, non-glare, 9-pocket pages as well. Looks like they're black pages, black-backed pages.
Nice.
Sweet. I think there's one last thing here. I don't even know what this is. It's a travel and outdoor playmat. I've actually never seen this before.
Oh, I didn't know if they were going to be sending you one of those. It's made for playing outdoors. I've never actually seen one.
That's crazy. It's a shame we're not allowed outdoors, but...
There was some discussion about whether we should send you one.
I'm actually just going to open this now properly so we can see what it looks like, because I'm actually interested. Ooh, wow. Okay. So it looks like it's like an iPad cover or something, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So it's got little like pockets, so you can actually like make sure they stay in place. The cards.
That's genuinely awesome.
That's really, really cool. I'm a fan. I can't really go further out because of where my camera is. But that's cool. It's even this bit's got flaps.
So it actually lets you keep all of your cards so they don't blow off like they would on a regular mat.
Like some sort of damage for a different game, but if I was to get the cards that I was just using, they fit pretty well.
Oh, that's cool. See, I'd heard rumours of this product. I'd never actually seen it.
That looks really nice.
That does look very cool. You know, like when we're sitting around in airports and stuff, when the world finally opens up again, that is actually going to get used.
And when the plane comes, you can just yeet it all and run off with it.
That is going to be an airport playmat.
That's a good product. I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
Even though this is a sponsored thing, like, unironically, I use Dragon Shield for, like, everything, so...
Well, see, I never used to, but several people, including yourself, were just kind of like, and I know I sound like a massive shill now, and I don't really care, because it's genuinely true. You were just like, just use Dragon Shield, Ross. Just start using Dragon Shield. And for years, I didn't. And then it's my good friend Tommy Roberts, who was like, Ross, just for God's sake, buy some Dragon Shield. And then I did, and I'm like, oh, they're actually, like, really good. Yeah. And then a rival was really rude to me at the UK Games Expo last year.
Okay.
So I've sworn off their products entirely because they were like super rude. So I'm like, sweet, Dragon Shield.
Yeah, I just think they have the best products, to be fair.
No, they look after me. I mean, to be fair, like I should say that, you know, because I am working with them, I can't really give you an unbiased opinion here. But I can tell you that I've been using Dragon Shield exclusively for my sleeves for like 5 years before this. So,
yeah.
I honestly, I genuinely don't know the answer to this, so this could be kind of like a hilarious outtake. But is there anything in the binder? I don't know if there is, but there was for David.
Oh, okay.
But I knew there was for David. I haven't been told there is for you, so there might not be. So don't get your hopes up. And I'm sorry if there isn't.
And it's empty. Yeah.
Oh, they like David more than you, Joe.
That's fine. I like David more than me too.
David's pretty good. We like David.
Oh well. I'm happy with the outdoor thing, to be fair. That sounds awesome. I can go outdoors. David's stuck inside.
Stay inside.
Yeah.
Stay inside, stay away from people, and wash your hands 4 times every minute.
Yeah.
We'll get through this, Joe.
Maybe.
Awesome. Right, well, there's all of Joe's swag. That's Joe's deck. I've asked Joe all the questions I want to ask. I don't know if we're doing another one of these. We probably should at some point. I have no idea what the plans are. If we do, Joe, you kind of have to join in.
Yeah, Stefan said if there is another auto entry, and you know that I will always make time for this format, so I'll definitely do a new metagame analysis for whatever set we're in if it happens again. So,
but like, where do you go from here? You came second, then you came first. Like, what is left to achieve?
Keep winning. There's nothing wrong with winning a second time.
It's going to get to the point where I'm trying to kind of get people to take part, and they're like, only if Joe's not in it.
I don't think it'll ever get there. I think there's enough creativity, and when it is monotype, you will end up just getting hit by the matchup roulette here and there. So I think you can still lose to any deck in the format. So.
Quite possibly. Well, thank you very much, Joe. Firstly, for taking part in both the Dragon Gym challenges, and secondly, for taking the time out today to talk to us on open products and stuff. It's been fun. And
yeah, it's been fun.
Congratulations on being ridiculous in silly little alternate formats.
It's my speciality. Thank you.
Nice. Well, cheers, Joe.
Bye.
And for everyone else watching, you know the deal. Comment, like, subscribe. We don't need to do a big outro. We've done this before. But check out all the games. They're in the description, and it's going to be lovely. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Joe.
Bye.